the only resort to right-wing doom? It's Worth It: How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire United States. And of course, good morning to the world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, that magical thing created by we the people, now controlled by the billionaires. We have a lot to talk about. As usual, we got a lot to learn, as usual, but without further ado, let's get to the studio with El Senor, Howard Reynolds, Jacques Van Bever, and Mayana. How are you guys doing this morning?
We're good. We're good. We're here.
She's awake. She's awake.
Good morning. No, she's good. She's always awake.
How you doing this morning, man?
I'm doing good, sir. All right. Reverend Barber calls out the big, beautiful bill a form of murder of Americans. Which Americans will it murder by policy first? The old. The billionaire mindset thinks the old are a drag on profits with their needs for health care, housing, and supervision, that they wish the old would just wander off into the wilderness and die. But that's not happening. So the BBB cuts Medicaid and Medicare benefits so they die from neglect, denied care, and delayed health care. This is by design of the big destructive senior killing bill. Anti-poverty campaigners in Spain and Brazil and Africa plan to tax the morbidly wealthy. The people are fed up with the billionaires' greed eroding the environment and the communities they depend on. We need this idea to gain some traction here in America. Billionaires, beware.
You nailed it. You nailed it. You nailed it. And we have a lot to talk about, but Jack, a lot of people saw that the Senate, the bill went through the Senate. The vice president had to be the tie vote, like to break the tie because
Tiebreaker.
yeah, exactly, and he had to be that tiebreaker because again, three Republicans voted against the bill. Now, Lisa Murkowski had the opportunity to be the John McCain of 2025. I don't know if you guys remember about 10 years ago when John McCain gave the thumbs down and was the savior of the repeal of Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, back several years ago. And he saved the lives. People don't quite understand or see that John McCain saved the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans with that thumbs down. Lisa Murkowski knows better. Lisa Murkowski decided that she would simply look out for Alaskans, and she went ahead and approved that bill. Otherwise, she would have been the John McCain of 2025. And by the way, I opened the screener. I forgot to do it earlier, Mayana. So it's open now. You can put the thing on the screen. But so she usurped the opportunity for herself to do that. What that means is that the bill is one step further. Now, in the House, what that means, the way it works is as follows. The House passes a bill, it goes to the Senate sees if it likes the bill, it makes adjustments to the bill, it goes back to the House. The House has to decide two things. Are we going to accept the bill as it came from the Senate as is and pass the bill? Or are we going to make our own changes to the changes the Senate made? And if we make one change, we have to send it back to the Senate to see if the Senate would approve it. If the Senate decides it doesn't want to approve what the final bill from the House is, they go into to committee and they work out their differences, and each body tries to pass that bill. Well, as it turns out, that didn't occur. We don't know yet if Mike Johnson has the power to force, along with the president, these people to just pass the Senate bill as is. I have a feeling they just may do that, which means we have likely today and tomorrow the last chances to really make these guys know that the people are listening. Look, there's a good chance this murderous bill is going to pass. I'm going to tell you that straight up. There's a good chance this murderous bill is going to pass. And a lot of people are feeling dread for this possibility. So yesterday I got an email from one of our devoted listeners telling me she just has to get out. She just has to drop everything. She's so depressed that she's checking out. And did a little video that I wanted because a whole lot of folks have started to feel that, especially as they see that the bill is likely to go through. So I want to play that. What I did it on my 3 o'clock show yesterday, and I want to play this for our audience here, and then we'll go more in detail of the show after this. One of our listeners sent an email today that really touched me to the core, and it was one sentence. And paraphrasing, it says, "I am depressed. I need to take a break." And then I realized over the last few days, we've had two major hits, right? One, and with the same bill. The House passed the bill by one vote, and the Senate just passed the bill by the vote of the vice president. But ultimately, what happened is a horrendously bad bill that will harm people, that will kill people, that will starve people got passed. Even as most people, and all of you see the polls, most people know that the vast majority of Americans want nothing to do with that bill. They don't want that bill passed. So when I got that email and it said, "I'm depressed, I need to take a break," my first contention or my first feeling why I am on here, because I just read it, why I'm on here is to say this. That is the reaction they want out of the poor and the middle class. They want us to feel like we have no choice. They want us to feel as if it's a foregone conclusion. The politicians, under the auspices of their benefactors, the plutocracy, the oligarchy, the wealthy folks, are going to do as they please, get on board or get off. And you cannot blame somebody who says, "You know what? It's so tough. I'm checking out. I'm checking out. I can't handle it anymore. I need to go into my cocoon." And my answer to that is simple. My answer to that is yes, as long as all of us are not in the cocoon at the same time. As long as all of us realize, even if we have to take a break, we have to stay in the game because they depend on all of us taking a break to move forward. In all the different activist movements that we've had, in all the movements where we engage, there was a lull. There was a time when people just thought they couldn't do it. That happened with the women's movement. That happened with the civil rights movement. That happened with the gay rights movement. That happened with just about every movement. You fight, you get ahead, they come back and they bust your spirit. And then you say again, what's the point? Well, the cliches here mean something. Democracy is not static. Your freedom is not static, because there are always that percentage of folk, especially in an economic system like ours, that will take and take and take and take until they're stopped. And that's not the majority of us. But it so happened that that minority of us many a times have the ability to frame discussions that leave us in one of two places. Join the bandwagon, become a part of the team, even as it hurts people, or check out. Well, my answer to that is neither. There is no checking out. But here's it again. For our friends who need to check out, temporarily do so. Temporarily, if you need to take a break for your mental sanity, do so. But keep those of us that are empowered to stay in the fight and keep fighting for you and fighting for us. You know, there's some of us that are willing to do that continuously. So the end point that I want to make is, as long as when we're checking out, as long as when we're taking a break, as long as when we're taking a breather, we just look at it and say, but we have to re-engage, because we're not going to cede our country, our democracy, our freedom, our liberty to anyone. We won't cede that to anyone. And collectively, my brother and my sister is in fact my keeper. There are more of us out there. And I repeat, don't be fooled. They may have a lot of money, but there are more of us out there than they are of them. And as long as we don't fall for the okey doke of all of us checking out all at once, we will always be our brothers and sisters' keeper. Folks like me, of course, will always be engaged in the game. I don't ever intend to check out or take a break. But I tell you what, not all of us can do that. Not all of us are made to do that. Not all of us have to do that. So the motto, the moral of what I'm coming on to point out is this, my brothers and sisters. Check out if you have to. Check out for a time, but don't check out forever. And stay engaged, however small, however large, because I'm telling you, we are going to win this ultimately if we engage. We're going to lose this. We're likely to lose this battle on this particular bill, even as I will continue to say, call, fight, because you never know which nerve you're going to hit. But even if that bill ultimately becomes law, we're going to be fighting for the remainder of 2025 for the elections that are up in 2025. And we're going to be going big for the elections in 2026. And mark my word, never giving up. And ultimately, we are going to do exactly what America has always said that America represents. So that's the message I gave to my 3:00 audience yesterday. And I hope you receive it with the spirit that it needs to be received. A lot of people get down immediately after things doesn't go their way. And I can tell you, as one who's gone through tribulations, both on a national level, meaning, hey, I'm from a country where, there were times, hey, you don't know. This is, America is just seeing a piece of what many of us in other places that America has destabilized have gone through. And what I can tell you is the following. It is recoverable, and it's the engagement, your engagement, that's going to change that. The misinformation and all of that is all a part of the game. But as long as we have enough folks out there that are willing to fight around that, we will be okay. Because we are not one person. We are a collective, however individualistic they would want you to believe. You see, one of the reasons we like to preach individualism as a country isn't because we care about the individual. We preach individualism so that the wealthy small collective can do as they please. Don't ever forget that. Nobody can be an individual. Nobody can is an island. But they make you believe that the reason you should not want regulations, the reason you should not want government, the reason you shouldn't want all these things is because we believe in rugged individualism. That's BS. Because the last rugged individual is a capitalist wealthy person because they're living off of your all of your backs. Don't you ever forget that. This rugged individualism means rugged individualism for you so that you can't get into a union to protect the collective, so that you can't get into concert with others to beat those collectively attempting to harm you. Don't you ever forget that, folks. You remember that, you can work together to win things. Welcome aboard, Joe from Los Angeles, California. Welcome aboard, Lisa Blair from, I think it's Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome aboard, Margaret Ryan. Welcome aboard. Margaret, where are you from again? I think you're from Massachusetts. I don't remember. Welcome aboard, Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas on Substack, which I missed the most. Want to say welcome Ernie Boxall, Gayla Kunis, Suzette Jensen, Roy Ningberg, Ernie Boxall, ITS now happening. Uju, how you doing, beautiful Uju? Lois, Hirat Kidam, Marianne, Cheryl Elkins. How you doing, my beautiful Elkins and Gayla Kunis? Beautiful folks are in here already. Gaina from Evans, Georgia. Maya Trifilio. Let's see, Victor. Hirut, Kiram, Marianne, Colleen, Jen, Albert, Letitia, a lot more folks. I tell you what, you have to put your city and state for me to call you out. Now there are too many on there. But let's go to John from Cyprus. Cyprus, come on in, John.
Good morning, Gilberto. Buenos días.
Buenos días, hermano. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, yo estoy bien, porque what you talk about right now
Yes,
is
sir.
exactly what I wanted to talk about, because I wanted your advice. Because once you donate to a candidate, you know that you get you get solicited continuously. Act Blue. I give
Yes.
to Act Blue. I give to AOC. I give to Jasmine Crockett. I give to people that I know their agenda, but it's got to change because of this. Biden fooled us all, and he was too weak. The people he put in there, they were smart, they were intelligent, they were too weak. They didn't go after, they didn't have the vision to see what was going to happen, and they didn't fight. They didn't even touch the court. And now the court is giving up their powers to this cult. And I'm going to give money. And so David Hawk sent me a name, and I want to donate to that guy and Maxwell Frost. But I want to find out, are you going to fight like I want you to fight? I don't need another weak person in there. Then Colin Allred sent me an email, just like they would do, and said, hey, I'm going to run for senator again, even though I barely lost. And I'm fine. But are you going to fight a little bit harder? Are you going to be a little bit mean-spirited? Because you're just a nice guy.
Can I interrupt you a second, my brother, about Colin Allred?
Sure.
I have not jumped on the Allred bandwagon personally. This is taking off my host hat, of course. I've not jumped on the Allred right now because I consider Allred an establishment candidate, and I don't think any establishment candidate can win in Texas. I don't think so. I think Beto O'Rourke, who is a little bit more than an less than an establishment candidate, came very close to beating Ted Cruz. I don't think I think Colin Allred will likely lose to Cornyn because again he doesn't offer anything that really lets people say, in my opinion, right now, unless he changes. Look, when he ran, he didn't come to Houston all that much. He didn't activate a base. Here's what the theory is. The theory is you make your base so excited that the rest of the people that are independent or not necessarily your base say, man, if these people can be so excited about these policies, this must be something I want. That ain't right now. That ain't already. I am looking for a young person. I tell you, I mean, I wish somebody like Kazar from Austin would run. This is a young kid.
Yeah,
You said you are
yeah.
giving monies to these people, and everybody that you just mentioned was a millennial or a Gen Z, not yet
Yeah,
formed by this
right.
establishment that pollutes. And I love that. Uh,
And
I,
we
I think I
need
think
to
the
change
question
it.
is
We need to change.
yes, the question is still out, in my opinion, on Allred. I don't. I First of all, I don't trust the guy yet. I mean, he can earn one's trust because a politician is just that, a politician, right? All of them, they're politician.
Yeah,
It's which one's going to work for you,
Lisa McCoskey proved that. Well, you gave a good point with Lisa McCoskey. She had a chance to be great. She had a chance to be somebody, and she gave it up.
right?
But she may have another chance because, like you said, the House. Some people that don't like what's in the bill that was given to the Senate, so it may go back to the Senate. But
Right.
I still don't like the weakening of the courts. The courts weakening itself, and then this bill is also going to weaken the courts. But you notice this morning, all the headlines except for the BBC are no longer with this ugly bill
Right.
because they don't need distractions anymore. It's where it's supposed to be.
Right.
And by now, Trump is expecting that, hey, it should have been passed. My
I'm
problem is I'm tired of hearing what's wrong. I know what's wrong, Beto. I want to know what can I do? What candidates do I need to get behind? And those candidates need to change. They need to give me access to ask them questions. What are you really about? Are you going to fight like we need you to fight? Or are you just going to do the same old Joe Biden, conservative, hide like you're liberal? Joe Biden's not liberal, never has been. But
okay.
that's
You
the way.
just You just nailed it. You just nailed it right there. What are you going to do, and if can you really get to their staff? And you just nailed it. And when you write that, and by the way, like I said, based on what you're talking about, how you're given, I think you nailed it. First of all, brother John, and those young folk that are outspoken are the ones. If you listen to folks like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they're the past. They're owned by APAC. I mean, that look, they're over. But hey, my phones are filling up, hermano. So is give me a quick
All
closer
right.
so I can get
I'll
to.
leave you. Let me leave you with a quote from Galaxy Quest that fits right into what you said. Never give up, never surrender.
Muchísimas gracias, mi hermano. Thank you,
Well,
hermano. All right, let's go to Patty. Patty, line 4. Come on in, Patty.
Good morning. I appreciate your keeping us going in this fight that now becomes one of the most critical times in our country's history. And it is on us, we who are the majority, to remember that we do not need to become like those who came up with this big, bad bill. We do not need to take the low road to become mean. We need to stay on the high road of our beliefs. We need to stay righteous and keep the faith and trust in ourselves and stay connected with our voices who believe in the goals of our country, what actually makes us great, and that is equality and justice for all of us.
Patty, I could not have said that any better. You're absolutely right. And one of the reasons I played the piece that I did in the morning as the first thing this morning, because I do know a lot of folks are feeling dejected. A lot of people are feeling like it's over, this goes through. It's never over. And the righteous ultimately, Obama used to say something, two things that I like what he said. We are who we're waiting for. We've been who we're waiting for, and that's who we have to be. And the other thing is that the arc of justice, and I think this probably also had to do with Martin Luther King, bends slowly. Obama used to talk about how turning the juggernaut it takes a while to turn the juggernaut. Now, we've allowed the juggernaut to go in the wrong direction for too long. It's not going to change very quickly, and it's going to take a lot of effort. But, they're betting that we are not willing to go into the struggle. I am saying that we are willing. We are going to make this country be who this country said it is. It's never has been. It tried many a times. We are going to make. We are the country. We are the country. We are going to make what we purport it to be. Thank you, Patty. Anything else you want to add before I go?
Just in 2 days, remember consent of the governed. We do not consent to what's being done. We cannot be quiet. We must be active.
Thank you, Patty. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Let's go to John from Minneapolis. Come on in, John.
Yeah, to add to that, because this is not a consent. We do not consent to this, and there's good reason to believe through the studies that Greg Palast has come up with that indeed, there was lots of voter suppression. And this is something that we need to really focus on because we need to have an accurate vote. And, to quote Jim Hightower, this is the problem with the Democratic Party. I've supported progressives for over 40 years, and it moves, we've been yanked so far to the right that what we call middle is not at all middle, and that's why people can hurl epitaphs at Mamdani and say he's a communist. They don't even know what a communist is. It's just bizarre. And I'm sick of the gaslighting, and I think that's why a lot of people feel despondent. But we have to move ahead because in the end, history proves that the truth wins out. It's just that it's often, very arduous to prove that or to get to that point. Like, for instance, look at what happened in World War II. I think there was like 50 million people that died in that to try to get to democracy. And this whole idea of rugged individualism and the will to power is nonsense. It's hateful, and it literally wants to kill people because they have determined that you're not worth it. You're not worth supporting to be alive. I can't imagine. That goes against everything I believe in my very soul. And I'm tired of it, but I'm still willing to go on and support your program, give money to KPTF, give money to Free Speech TV, wherever and support my candidates, Ilhan Omar, who the Democratic Party constantly tries to remove her through AIPAC, through people outside of Minnesota that have decided, no, we can't have this person is too far to the left. I mean, she's just advocating common sense things for ordinary people to make this democracy, to bring us to full democracy. We can't give up on democracy. It is a good thing, I believe, as a Christian, but also as a person, just as a human being. Yeah, anyway,
John, you nailed no sorry here. You nailed it. And I'm glad you brought up Mandami because you give me a chance to say something that I need to tell folks out there. A lot of our traditional Democrats are very progressive, but they have been led to believe that going hard progressive, as most Americans say that they are. Most Americans say they are progressive when you ask them policy per policy. They're scared to do that because the plutocracy, the oligarchy have convinced them that that's not where we are and that's not where the win is. And the fear that they have of people like you just mentioned, Mamdani, is that, oh my God, look how people gravitated towards truth. Look how people gravitated towards somebody that says, I am going to do the things that these Democrats won't do, these Republicans won't do. I'm going to go into the community where people voted for Donald Trump and not look down at those people, but look at them and say, what would it take for me to earn your vote? things that I've been talking about, that
Right.
we need to go into rural America and earn those votes, not have them be reprogrammed into reprogram their minds into that which harms them. Let's go in there and show them what we can do for them. But when
Yeah.
people talk about Democrats on the two coasts being lazy, I'm
Hmm.
sorry. They're right. But I'm filled
Yeah.
up, John. I gotta go. Thank you so kindly, my brother. Let me go ahead and bring Sister Uju into the conversation. Come on in, Uju.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Roberta, your speech from yesterday, well, this morning was amazing. I just wanted to call really quickly because I know your lines are full, but I want everyone to remember a few things. I think it's completely normal as human beings to feel tired, but I also think that we also need a little bit of history lessons. So while you're taking a break, which every human being deserves, and I tell all my patients that we're humans, not robots, do a little reading, or in this day and age, a little bit of YouTubing, because I'm guilty of this too. When this shit got handed down, I literally sent a text out to my family saying, democracy. But in that moment, my husband had to remind me. He's, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "It's done. It's over." He had to remind me this accord was also very important and then Reconstruction. So at some point in time, we had Reconstruction. Everyone thinks, oh, yeah, we had slavery, and then there was a civil war, and then it was just like done, like a 3-hour movie, right? But people forget how long and how much activism and how much took into getting to that point. And then after that, Reconstruction. And then after that point, we let in the then Southern Democrats take over. Why you have all these monuments, bases, et cetera, et cetera. People forget we like to condense everything into a 3-hour movie. Anyway, story short, I think we have to go back, and while you're taking a break, just do a little bit of YouTubing and reading. Read about the robber barons. Read about how FDR came into to power. Read about what happened, because it's going to keep you grounded and realizing, as a country, we've been here before, but we don't realize it because we are not educated enough. So really quick, one last thing. I don't know if anyone is really into Marvel, and this is not a commercial, but think about the last Marvel movie, like Avengers: The Endgame. It took literally 2 movies to show how much fight went in. And we like to condense into 2-3-hour movies. But so we have to essentially take what's happening right now. In this timeline, we as a people have been tasked with preserving democracy. Every single timeline in America's 250th year has had this responsibility. It is our time right now. You do not give up. Because what is the alternative, people? Seriously, what is the alternative? I'm Nigerian. My grandparents were in the Biafra War. We were slaughtered. We are Igbo. What was the alternative? What is the alternative, anyone? So I just want everyone to remember, take the break. You are human. You're not a robot. And while you are taking a break, read history. Absolutely, because we have been programmed to thinking that this timeline is going to be a 3-hour movie, but it is not. And we also have to realize that we should not be narcissistic to think that the change that we are going to be is going to happen in our lifetime. So people say, what can I do? Guess what you can do? You can read. And that is how you can remember our history as American history, because Americans do not know American history. The entire world knows more about our history than we do. Read. Listen to podcasts. Do whatever you need to do. Yes, get a pedicure, get a manicure, get a massage, but read about our history. Because if you read about our history, you will realize that we have been here before. And you will realize, what can you do? Guess what? You donate $5. Donate $5 to someone you say, you know what? They have always been a straight shooter. Okay? And let's start talking about abolishing the one thing that we should abolish as a country. How do we say we're a democracy and we have the Electoral College? Nobody is ready for that conversation, but it is time. We have to fight because we have no choice. So that's all I have to say.
Uju, that was beautiful. I could not have said that any better. I have the smartest callers. Patty, I called in. You called in. Thank you very much, sister. And look, all of you in the chat, the conversation in the chat is blowing up. You guys are, I'll read some when I get a chance, but you guys are kicking you know what over there, guys. Keep up the good work. Your stuff is being read. Let's see. Go ahead. Let's see. Let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning, Bruce.
Morning. Yeah, I'm not as smart as the last caller, but I got a couple points I want to make. First, I want to tell you thank you. You're my history civics professor. The first point I want to make is I learned in government class that while your local representatives should represent your interests, that the country should always come first. Murkowski violated that. The other point I want to make is I'm old enough to remember when there was trouble in Northern Ireland, and here in Boston in the United States, the Catholics and Protestants didn't dare go into each other's neighborhoods. What kind of outcry would there have been if ICE trucks had gone there and picked up the Irish? I saw where our farmer said 70% of our crops weren't being picked right now. Can you imagine if ICE had gone in back when the Chinese were building the railroad to the Sierra Nevadas and started picking up the Chinese? That thing wouldn't even be built today. I'm done. But thank you again for educating me, and I'm sorry my calls aren't as smart as that last lady. She's got it together.
First of all, yeah, we have all our callers are smart, and all our callers have lived experiences, and it's a composite of our lived experience that make us who we are. We're all smart. Thank you, my brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Let's go to Harry. Come on, brother Harry. Come on in, brother Harry.
Buenos dias, hermano, el profesor Alberto Willis, Uju. Good morning to you. Good morning to Patty. Good morning to both Tods. All of them were right, and good morning to Bruce with their intelligent comments. I'm not going to give up the fight. If you do need to take a break, take Uju's advice. If you don't know the history, our economic history, you need to read up on the robber barons. You know, we were here in the 30s when we had the Great Depression, and we had FDR doing the right thing, raising the taxes. And the wealthy people did not want that. You know, we have this crazy administration. We have this, you know, this bill. Hopefully, the first John will be right. It'll go back to the Senate because there'll be changes made because the House is not agreeing on those deeper cuts that the Senate wants to make for Medicaid.
Harry, can I interrupt you a second? Because you just mentioned the bill, and I forgot to mention to our audience how, you know, and this doesn't even have to do with how bad it is with healthcare, cutting Medicaid, and starving kids and all of that. But let me just give you a policy thing that is so dangerous. He has reverted back to supporting fossil fuels as he penalizes green energy, windmills, solar, and put effectively an excise tax by saying if we don't produce these things, which we don't, but we have to import certain parts, there's an excise tax that will depress the green energy system, which gives all these other countries advantages to get ahead in that kind of a production while we stay, fossilized, if you will. Finish up for me real quick, Harry, because my lines are completely
I was
full.
going to say the Democrats are at 27%, and as the first John was saying, you got to have Democrats like Ilhan Omar, like AOC. You got to have Democrats that are going to fight. It can't be the same neoliberal type politics. They've got to get in there and fight and give the American people a reason to vote for them. Because even though Donald Trump's approval rating is at 43% and the Republicans are at 36%, you've got the Democrats, if they want to get back into power, they can use this, if the bill does pass, which is probably going to do, use this as ammunition for 2025 elections coming up and 2026 to get the House and the Senate back. And say, look, the Republicans put us here, and as Uju said, we've been here before. We just have to know it, and we have to keep fighting.
Harry, thank you, brother. Give your brother my regards. I hope he's feeling better, okay? But I got to go.
He's doing well.
All right, got to go. Let's go to Betty. Come on in, Betty. Sister Betty, come on in.
Good morning, Alberto.
Good morning, beautiful. Talk to me.
Yeah. This is to the lady who is depressed Why, yeah, look who's running America. A pack of rats. It's rat eat rats. Look at Leon Marston Trump. Look what happened. Who's next? So, lady, talk and talk to yourself. It needs you. Don't ban. Take my hand. It is soft and warm. Heart. The floodlight shines on the front of our hearts. Love y'all.
Love you too, Betty. Thank you so kindly. Let's go ahead and bring, I think Johnny is next. Our lines are kind of packed, guys, so bear with me. Johnny, come on in.
I won't be long. You know that.
I know that.
And here I am wasting time telling you that. So my advice to John in Cincinnati, and by the way, I like all these new callers you have. That's another thing we got to do. We do what I do. When you go on the internet and you go to YouTube and various venues and you see these comments and different thumbnails, make comments that talk up KPFT and Free Speech TV together. That's what I do all the time.
Thank you for that.
I mentioned Huger. That's what I do. And by the way, I also mentioned Medea Benjamin. And speaking of which, when your call screener lady took my call and answered and asked me how she could help, I said she could help by sending an extra roll of yellow crime scene tape to Medea Benjamin, one for the White House and one for Congress, and send me a box of donuts so I could have my feet in the grass in the backyard and have me a box of donuts when I rest and relax. And
hey, let me interrupt you a second because you mentioned Medea Benjamin. You know, Medea is my friend. We brought her here to Houston to. Well, I have to give it to one of our KPFT great members. Marcinskowski brought her to Houston. And, whenever she's in Gaza or whatever, and I find out she's there, I give her a call and say, hey, can you give me an interview? They hate this woman because she works so hard for justice. Continue, brother.
Yeah, she's a dynamo. She has so much energy. She's like a little energizer bunny. Anyway, so on an unrelated note, I wanted to mention something because the light bulb went off my head yesterday morning watching Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman when she was in Geneva, Switzerland, interviewing one of the UN high people. And while they were talking, Amy did a split screen. He was talking about how Netanyahu keeps marching these Palestinians back and forth, north and south, back and forth, right? And so she's showing video of the Palestinians in mass on the streets, carrying their belongings, walking down the road, and it suddenly hit me. And you tell me if this is possible. Do you think that on a subliminal level, Netanyahu and his generals are trying to show the world this is what they did to us in Nazi Germany, so we're doing the same thing to other people who have
no. Johnny, I love you and I usually agree with you, but Netanyahu is a poor representation of the pain that our Jewish brothers and sisters went through during the Holocaust. There's nothing spiritual, there's nothing historical about Netanyahu. Netanyahu is just your basic war criminal saving his butt. Let's not try to psychoanalyze Netanyahu. He's just a criminal. He's just a thug like our president.
No, I'm not.
No, I know. I know, brother. I know. But I don't want to have the Holocaust and Netanyahu in the same sentence because he demeans what our Jewish brothers and sisters went through with the Holocaust.
It just occurred to me, I'm not excusing what he does. What he and his generals are doing to the people in Palestine, they deserve to be imprisoned and maybe the death penalty as far as I'm concerned. Set an example to Donald Trump. They're both cut the same cloth, those people. Anyway,
yes, sir.
I like you expanding your listener base, and that's all I have to say.
I love my people, man. I love my people. Thank you, Johnny. I love you, brother. Let's go to, I'll go to Jimmy, and then I'll go to Donald. Donald came back on. Come on, Jimmy.
Yeah, this bill that's going through Congress, was tied up in the Senate, and J.D. Vance broke the tie. I think we need to talk about what exactly we don't like about the bill. Don't just say vote against the bill. Talk about, I guess there are big cuts to Medicare and Medicaid that could deny people health care. I'm not sure what else is in the bill, but we need to be specific about why we don't want the bill.
I am so glad you said that, and I am trying my best, and you're so right, Jimmy, to do that. That's why I interrupted when Harry was speaking to point out when he made a comment that it also puts us backwards in the green energy or in our future energy modal and many other things. It puts us back on judiciary. It puts us, and I've been trying to write about that in the blogs that I write as well. So thank you for that, Jimmy. Anything else?
Yeah, Fox News is just a propaganda wing. They're over there calling Madam Dammy a communist and all that stuff. They spend their entire hour denigrating the Democrats and progressives and so forth. To me, it's just a propaganda wing, and people should just ignore what Fox News is putting out there. It's not the truth. It's pure propaganda.
Jimmy, I agree with you. Jimmy, I only have about 12 minutes left. So thank you very much for calling. Thank you very much for your support and keep on listening, brother. All right?
I will.
Thank you, brother. Peace. Let's go to Brother Donald.
It's just a bill, right? You got my email with just a bill from the Schoolhouse Rock. Did you listen to it?
When did you send me the email?
Oh, I sent it to you the other day. But yeah, I'm excited because people are actually learning what they're supposed to be learning of how this process works. And Rome was not built in a day. Okay, it was destroyed pretty fast, but it was not built in a day. It takes steps to get through all this. But you notice what I never see in any of these bills is reform or change to the tax codes or any of the other stuff that we really need to address so that everybody starts paying their fair share equally. It's always a little bone that they throw out. Well, we're going to not tax overtime. We're not going to. Well, no, you should.
Donald,
we need to
Donald,
figure out a way
I need to
not
interrupt you.
take from the middleman.
Hey, Jimmy just forced me to interrupt you with what Jimmy said earlier, with the last call. So take this interruption a Jimmy interruption. You just talk about taxes. Let me tell you one big thing that they did in changing the way the taxes are. They made retroactive that big corporations, not just small corporations or corporations that make under $31 million, as a caller called in yesterday or the day before and said. But as soon as this bill passes, as soon as it passes, Meta, a multi-billion dollar corporation, will be able, while we are taking food out of the mouths of kids, they will be able to take a $15 billion write-off for their R&D for 2022, 2023, 2024. Like I mentioned before, corporations don't take risks. They just take profits and socialize everything else. Continue, my brother Donald.
You didn't think he ran up there smoothing on that butt for nothing. What was it, a $20 million party?
Man, you're funny.
Look at it. There's always something they're getting out of it on the backs of the normal working people, whether you work in food service, whether you work anywhere. If they can tax you, they're going to. They're not going to pay for anything, and that is the problem. So Trump is going to do part of what he said, but a lot of what he said is the same thing that Biden, because I like the way Barack Obama spoke. If his ideologies could have came true, that'd have been good. But when you get it around them people, and I'd be saying that's to the north, the west, the Richmond area.
Interruption again, Donald. Interruption again, because I want to. You're teaching me to make a better point. Let me point out that when Obama won, he had an organization called Obama for America that was extraordinarily powerful. It was people driven and people power. And the first thing the Democratic Party, and had to be with the approval Obama, did was to get rid of Obama for America, a people's movement. And the reason he was not able to accomplish a lot that he accomplished was the degradation of that OFA not having not being a part of his organization. The reason Trump has been able to be fairly successful in passing bad laws is because he did not dethrone MAGA, while Obama and those folks dethroned OFA. Big difference. Continue, brother.
There you go. They're going to turn your back on you once you get in power. And politicians, if you want to be successful, treat it like it's your own business. You got to stay working at it. If somebody invites you to dinner, no, I got work to do. I got work to do. I got work to do. It never stops. Just because you hit one area, you've got to come up with your game plan. You got to execute, and you got to keep working because they're going to distract you. They're going to set you into meetings. They're going to take you to dinners. They're going to take you to meet people. And they're going to try to buy you off. And
Thank you,
that is
brother.
what they do.
Brother
That's
Donald, muchísimas gracias. Perfecto. You have a good one. Welcome aboard, A-Golf Twitler. Eric, I got Eric already. And yes, our good friend is from Washington. Sorry for saying you were from Georgia, I think. Forgive me? Yes. All right. And look, the chat in Substack is great. I'm going to copy that and read all of that. Let's go to David. Come on in, David.
No, it's not David. It's Brian.
Oh, okay. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, you can't tax your way to prosperity. The only way to build prosperity is to build a product, sell it at a profit. Do you not understand this?
Sir,
Well,
I
what is
built.
it that you don't understand about product?
Wait, have you ever built a product?
Yes, I have.
What product did you build?
Research and development for about 30 years.
Okay,
I was research and development for about 30 years.
Let me stop
I
a
was
second.
self-employed.
Oh, hold on. I
I
asked you a question, you answered. And next question is, did you market and develop and sell that product, made a profit from it, and did everything with that product?
Yes, I just answered that. I was
Okay,
in
well,
floor covering.
all right, well, good.
84
I'm happy for that. I'm happy for that. Well, let me tell you, I am not just talking.
Now you're going to change it up, aren't you?
No, I'm not going to change. Why don't you hold on a second, Brian? And you listen good here, brother. Learn how to have a conversation without being confrontational.
Hey, don't
Be
angry.
quiet. Be quiet.
Be
Be
angry.
quiet. Be quiet.
Oh,
Be
thank you.
quiet.
You're angry.
All right, cut
You're
off
angry.
Brian. Get rid of Brian because well, let me tell you what I was going to tell Brian. I was going to tell Brian this. Stop. Learn how to have a conversation. One person asks, another person responds, etc. Just for the sake of those people who think I'm blowing smoke up the air, I've created several products. I was a capitalist at one point, very successful one at that. I've given all of that up to do this and gotten broke in the process because I'm doing this. But let me just say this. No, and just for anybody who wants to find out, look out for products called MTAS, ComDRV, SCRN Input. All of these are products used in engineering by NASA and all these other folks. Look it up. It's all on the internet. Okay? So I've developed products from scratch, sir. So I'm not some anti-business type of person or anything like that. I believe in free enterprise. I believe in free enterprise. All right, let's go to David. But I don't believe in capitalism, but free enterprise. Come on in, David.
Oh, thanks, Egberto. Yeah, I was well, let's see. To start, you were a little while ago. You were talking about how Netanyahu had his power and what held him in place. If you look at the common denominator of Roy Cohn, the creepy lawyer in New York City that was the attorney for all of the mob families that Donald Trump hung around with for 14 years of his life. Roy Cohn had the tie to Netanyahu in that when Roy Cohn was sidekick to Joe McCarthy, he was able to sneak people into investigative systems, into the security state. Mm-hmm. He would, with his lies, he would demand investigations, and then he would put dirty lawyers and corrupt people in doing those investigations. And that's how Netanyahu came to power, is that those people gave him permission to be a crook. And when you look at just Netanyahu as a merchant in the temple, I mean, he's taking the very concept of Judaism and marketing it for war.
That's exactly. Look, David, I'm out of time, but I think that last sentence that you did nailed it. And earlier when I spoke to Johnny, that's what I wanted to make sure never occurred. Let's not make him the Jewish king. Thank you, brother. You have a wonderful day. We'll talk tomorrow. Let's go to Bart. Bart, you got 30 seconds. I'm running out of time.
Good morning, sir. I'm really enjoying the show this morning. This big, beautiful bill is no different than the last big, beautiful bill, the Inflation Reduction Act. It's just kicking the can down the road. And as you keep crying about Medicaid and Social Security, and as long as you're adding illegal immigrants onto Medicaid and illegals onto Social Security, which they've never paid into.
All right, wait, stop. Wait. Hold on a second. Bart, no, stop. Bart, I spoke about lies. No, I spoke about lies. Be quiet. I spoke about lies. And here is the deal. You're a liar, my dear brother. You are a liar.
You're a liar.
Undocumented people pay into Social Security, Medicare, and all these programs, and they do not get, and they cannot collect from it. If you don't know that, you need to be educated. I suggest you do some reading. Goodbye. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny. Johnny, you have some people that they are willfully ignorant, and that's one call that we just got. Continue, Johnny. Real quick, you got 30 seconds.
Yes, I have a useful technique I learned not too long ago in a sit and fit and balance class at the college. They teach you to look in the mirror and you pronounce the vowels A-E-I-O-U aloud. You watch yourself in the mirror while you're doing that. That helps you detect any asymmetry in your muscles in your face, so you know if you might have a sign of stroke developing. Likewise, I would advise Brian and Breitbart, you two guys, when you're on the phone talking to Alberto, showing your love for him, you can see the love in your faces by the way you talk.
Exactly. Thank you, Johnny. Johnny, got to go to the studio. Love you, brother. Studio, you're on.
Hey, I got a little note here. If you're feeling dread, it's a call to action, but what action can you take? The people's power lies in their purses and pocketbooks and your participation in consumption of goods and services. The answer may lie in the money you don't spend, not the money you spend.
Wow. Prescient. Mayana, anything?
Yeah, I guess I just want people who call in, like the one about the Social Security and people not paying into it. Like, look something up before you call in, maybe. Just
Sister, you nailed it, sister. You've nailed it, Mayana. You're absolutely right. Anyway, folks, the rest of the program, politicsandright.com/newsletter. politicsandright.com/newsletter. Email me directly, kpft@politicsandright.com. kpft@politicsandright.com. Love you guys. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right, and you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
I'm Dr.